This program is a paid commercial announcement and in no way represents the views of WPHT or its management.
Now on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor.
If we don't move in our own direction, we're going to become extinct. In fact, in some cases, we're close to being extinct right now.
Presented by Weinerman Pain and Wellness, serious doctors for serious injuries, and powered by the law offices of Pond, Lehocky, Stern, Giordano. Talk, listen, and speak to the region's most influential leaders. It's Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor.
Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor. Good evening, everybody, and welcome in to Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor and John Dougherty, presented by Weinerman Pain and Wellness, serious doctors for serious injuries, empowered by Pond, Lehocky, Stern, and Giordano. Unmistakable, the workers' compensation law firm. In for John Dougherty in the chair tonight, Councilman Bobby Henon joining us in the studio tonight. Elected to City Council back in 2011, re-elected back in 2015 for a second term, and then in 2016 chosen by the majority to be the majority leader chosen unanimously. J-Doc, proud to have Bobby Henon in the chair.
Absolutely, we don't mess around here. We had with the best pinch hitters in the business. Great to have Councilman Henon here in the driver's seat. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Krause, Joe, Doc. All right, appreciate the invite and co-hosting on behalf of John Dougherty. If I can get a shout out to John and the Dougherty team, want to continue all our prayers for him and his family as they go through some issues with his wife. So they think the prayers are working, but we need to keep them coming.
Absolutely.
And we begin every show and we end every show with prayers for John Dougherty here on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor. One of the traditions started by John on the very first show. Jay, you have a drum roll for me? We welcome everyone into the dinner table. Where will we dine tonight? It was all on you, Bobby. Brought in some good pie. I'll let you tee everybody up tonight.
We had some good pie right from Mayfair, right up in the Northeast, a district that I represent so proudly at Gino's Pizza. So we got a couple pies here from Gino's Pizza. They do a great job right there on our business Carter, right in the heart of Mayfair, Philadelphia.
All right, good stuff. And of course, to get at least a review, our food critic, our registered food critic in the studio is J-Doc. Right?
Now listen,
J-Doc, will you please bring napkins?
Listen. I just want to say this, Krause. I spent 20 some years in Mayfair, so it's like home to me. So great to have. I want to thank Councilman Henon for bringing Gino's Pizza in. Fantastic.
How good?
Delicious.
How good, J-Doc? How good was it?
Listen, it was fantastic. We got like he said, we got the pepperoni, we got the regular pie, and so I had a piece of the regular pie, and underneath I knew there was something under there, and so it was delicious. Crunchy crust, nice thick cheese. The sauce was amazing.
Bobby, the sauce running down the side, right?
Sauce running like a Krause. I don't think he even needed a napkin. I think it went down too quick.
I think I ate it like it was breathing, brother.
All right, well, good stuff from Bobby Henon, bringing in from Gino's Pizza tonight as we join you here on Saturday Night Live with a big show and a big lineup. For all of our listeners tonight, stay with us. Gabe Morgan, who's the vice president of SEIU Local 32 BJ, J-Doc, he's going to be joining us here momentarily in the A block. Finally, down at the airport, all non-union Philadelphia airport workers voted to join and become a member of the SEIU Local 32 BJ. That's a big, big story down at the airport.
It's the big story of the week. We've been reporting on that situation for a couple of years now. Tons of protests, a lot of political support, and the vote, which was held on Tuesday night, 406 to 58 in favor of joining the union. Unbelievable.
Bobby, let me ask you, I saw a quote from Mayor Kenny in reference to the vote by the airport workers, and Kenny was pleased, referencing the airport to be a city property, and was pleased that workers were finally going to get their due and get wages that were more standard wages instead of working for below wages that were so subpar.
Well, that's exactly right, and the mayor has been a strong proponent of fair wages and good benefits for all Philadelphians. And I was one of the. I had the privilege several times on attending some of the protests or information informational walks down there at the airport. And, to all the wheelchair attendants, sky caps, and baggage handlers who work mostly on tips and, underpaid, now they sought the time. All right, the time is now that they get fair wages and benefits. And it's not just wages because, the city negotiated a pretty good deal with the airlines on, having the 21st century wage, which is, that went from 7 and a quarter, which was minimum wage, up to $12 an hour. And now, through this efforts, without any kind of interference and cooperation, they took a vote. All right, they're going to unionize, which means they're going to have representation, or they're going to go to work. They're going to go to work with dignity and pride, and they're going to go to work to thinking about their future with a safe retirement and a soft landing for them, so they can continue to raise their families and live here in the city of Philadelphia. So I think kudos to the pressure and the persuasion that Gabe Morgan and SEIU 32 BJ continued to do, and my hat is off to them.
A long-fought battle, and to all of the critics, and to
over
those,
4 years, Joe,
and to those around the Delaware Valley who are quickly step up on the blogs and are quick to blow up the phone lines and say, "Hey, we don't like unions," or "Hey, they have no right to unionize." Well, guess what? They do, and they have. And as you said, J. Doc, finally, after 4 years, and I can't, if there's not one person out there that could ring this phone and tell me a good reason why they shouldn't be able to unionize. I
mean, let me tell you something. They're hardworking people. They deserve dignity and a living wage. I mean, let me tell you something. It saves the taxpayers money. If you're working and you're making $7 an hour, chances are you're on public assistance also. This gives them an opportunity to raise a family, like Councilman Henon said, and to also have dignity and a job that's worth having. And it's a job well done by the city of Philadelphia, city council, I know, and the mayor, and, SEI Local 32 BJ. Unbelievable. 4 years, rallies, all kinds of stuff going on. Now these people are going to have the opportunity to collectively bargain.
Also on the big show today, coming up at the bottom of the hour at 7:31, Frank Snyder is going to join us. Frank from the AFL-CIO, and he will be along. We'll have a conversation with Frank about paycheck protection bills 166 and Paycheck Protection Bill 167. So, Bobby, you're in the studio tonight. It's concrete, hardcore stuff tonight. We must figure out how to stop that legislation in Harrisburg.
Well, I'll tell you, with the makeup of the houses in Harrisburg, and they don't only have bills 167 and 166 and 167. They have a suite of bills. The right wing of these anti-union right to work type bills, which really are a right to work for less, because what you're doing is you're telling people they can't voluntarily pay their dues in their paycheck. So it's really not. These are deceptive terms, and we'll get the chance to talk to Secretary Treasurer Frank Snyder of the AFL-CIO and discuss it more.
Bobby, thoughts?
Well, I think it's an ongoing, continuous effort to right to work. I mean, you're talking about anti-human rights.
Exactly.
Is what they're doing. And, people are living paycheck to paycheck. You're talking about the middle class. You're talking about they have they are systematically and creatively trying to break down the rights of the middle class, not just Pennsylvania, all right, but the country. We have to keep our pressure on. We got to keep our eye on the ball. There's 28 states in our nation that have right to work legislation already enacted, and it really does. It's a race to the bottom, and they're participating in it. So we need to keep the pressure on, and I think as we do, we're going to be successful. Live
on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. It's Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor and John Dougherty. Councilman Bobby Henon joining us here in the studio. Also on the big show today, towards the end of the hour, right around 7:49, Mike Barnes will be along to give us an update, watching the aerial views from over the Parkway. Construction is in full swing for the NFL draft coming up at the very end of the month, Bobby. And, of course, the NFL draft and the expectation of what that draft means to the city of Philadelphia in terms of the number of people that are going to come into town and the amount of money and revenue that's going to be generated while celebrating the Eagles selection in the first round.
It's going to be a great celebration. And, we are blessed to have the NFL draft here. 200,000 visitors coming to the city of Philadelphia. All right, that is going to have an opportunity to see what we are, to see the Liberty Bell, to see the brotherly love and sisterly affection that we have to offer, and we're going to do it right here. I think it's going to be great for the city. It's going to be great for the region. All right, because I think the NFL draft is a regional opportunity for people to come in here and visit our city and, get to enjoy what the city's all about.
Every time, J-Doc, an event comes to Philadelphia, whether it's the Pope coming into town, whether it's the DNC, or now in this case here in 2017, the NFL draft, the working hands of the unions of this city pull it together like no other.
Well, I just drove down the Parkway to get to the studio, and they are in full swing. Unbelievable spectacle they got going down there, and like we talk about with the Pope, and with the DNC and all those things, those structures don't just put themselves up. Although they seem like it, and they seem to disappear in a weekend. There's a lot of hardworking people from labor unions doing their jobs and making it possible for our city to enjoy these massive events.
It's Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor. Is there one person out there listening to the radio show right now that can dial 855-839-1210, 855-839-1210, and tell me why the airport workers do not or should not unionize? After a long 4-year battle, we celebrate tonight at least the ability or the vote to unionize and allow them now to move up into a wage, Bobby, as you said, that will bring them up to a standard of living that they can at least live.
That's correct. And we have we call the area's wages and benefits, so it's the established rate for that type of service industry. So, we're not talking about we're going to give people $20 wage increases. We're talking about a respectful wage, all right, that, people can raise their family. So, the benefits of having people being productive right here in our businesses only flourishes our airport.
I totally agree with that, man. And listen, 12, like you said, Bob, $12.50 an hour, heck of a lot better than $7.50. But imagine, and our listeners, imagine if you were working for $12.50. And so my point is this: that, this is a starting point for these individuals, and gives them an opportunity at some dignity and some opportunities to raise their family. But it's just a starting point. If you could actually sit there and think about making $12.50 an hour, and you tell me if hardworking people like these individuals don't deserve that money, I think you got real problems.
You missed the story in Philly.com. The non-union Philadelphia airport workers vote to join. They vote to unionize, and they become members or will become members of the SEIU Local 32BJ. A long 4-year battle has come, or a long 4-year battle of protesting and criticizing and negotiating and all of that over the last 4 years. As we have followed that story, all now finally comes to fruition. Bobby Henon in for John Dougherty in the big chair tonight, and he'll be with us throughout the hour. Bobby, what's going on down at City Hall, man? A lot of buzz, a lot of excitement. What's happening?
Well, we have a $4.3 billion budget that's taken place. It's where we have the opportunity to make sure that we have enough line items for more police, more firefighters, more quality of life issues, making sure that places like Geno's, who sit and service a community on a commercial corridor, get the fundings that they need for safe cam programs, and making sure that our police department and our businesses on these corridors have the opportunity to to have safety measures in place. So, we're doing a lot of good down there in City Council. It's a 2-month process where we get to critique our departments, making sure that they're effective, that our program-based budgeting and our technology is moving forward in the right speed. So, I think my council president and my colleagues are doing a fabulous job, and we're going to continue to do what we do every budget process, because this is where we earn our money, and this is where we hear the cries and the sounds of our communities, all right, that ask for certain quality of life issues.
And we'll continue our conversation with Councilman Bobby Henon. It's Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor and John Dougherty. Bobby Henon in for John this evening. We're live on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
I won't participate on behalf of ourselves here at Local 98 or the Philadelphia Building Trades in conversations that are purely dominated on social issues that don't affect our jobs.
Back on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor and John Dougherty. Councilman Bobby Henon sitting in for John this evening. Welcome in to all of our listeners, and a shout out to all of our listeners out in Abington, Pennsylvania, out in Montgomery County, tuning in on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Don't forget the Dan Loney Show coming up at 8 o'clock tonight, following Saturday Night with PhillyLabor. The All-Star Labor Classic is tomorrow at Philadelphia University, the 30th annual All-Star Labor Classic. Bobby had a chance to join you at the banquet this week, and I just want to touch quickly, if we can, on that. What an incredible event, this 30-year event. And the money they raise, it's just unbelievable.
Well, it was the 30-year anniversary of the event for the All-Star Labor Class. We got a chance to see the stars, and they are all stars. All the athletes are stars on the court and off the court, and that's why they were selected. So, I'm very proud of the building trades. They just surpassed also their $2 million mark, raised money, all right, for the foundation. So All-Star Labor Classic, it works well, and they're going to continue to do a great job. I'm really proud of it.
What an incredible event, J. Doc. I know you've been a part of it, and it's just an unbelievable event, all benefiting the United Cerebral Palsy, as Bobby said, and it's just an incredible, incredible day of good basketball tomorrow from the very best high school girls and boys basketball players from the city and the suburbs.
Absolutely. It's a win-win-win for everybody, and it's a great cause, and it's really the essence of what the organized labor community here in Philadelphia is all about, and certainly, and great basketball. So you can't beat it. It's a win-win, and anybody who has time, go to Philadelphia University tomorrow and enjoy some great basketball.
Admission
for
is
a great
free.
cause.
Admission is free. Parking is free. Councilman Bobby Henon joining us here in the studio. Bobby, a lot of talk in the city, of course, about Mayor Kenny's resistance to, or his mandate to remain a sanctuary city. What kind of conversation is down the hallways at City Hall?
Well, I'm taking the conversation out in the street. I met with my community groups, the community leaders in my district last week, just to have an honest and open conversation. It's a complicated issue. And the mayor is, sticking to holding back and being a sanctuary city for the right reason. I mean, and I think it's also about the unknown. All right. But what is the federal government going to be cutting back on any of the resources of the city of Philadelphia? Can they hold back? They can't to a certain degree. So I think we're going to be okay. But until we get more clarity from Washington, which we have not made, I think the mayor is, holding ground. We're a sanctuary city. All right. But I want to tell every listener that's out there, all right, public safety, all right, is not being harmed with this. All right. Our streets are going to continue to be policed by the best police force in our country. They're the best trained, and they are Philadelphians who go to work every single day and under very, very strenuous and difficult circumstances.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I also think that, so it is a confusing issue.
That's the point, the clarity. We need clarity. And everybody, myself included, I put myself in that mix, needs to understand what it means. And I think, Bobby, your point, nobody does.
It's because it became a political issue.
Exactly.
Right? It's 90% political, and nobody's talking about the Fourth Amendment right. And it's all about detaining people past their due process. And, if ICE, the federal government, pings somebody, as a violent criminal or as a terrorist or somebody that's on their watch list, well, damn it, all right, come with a court order, and the city of Philadelphia will hold them, all right? And if somebody commits a crime that is worthy of detaining, so if there's a felony or a violent crime or rape or something like that, all right, these people that, people will be held. All right, we will hold them as the city of Philadelphia. We're not going to let them go. All right, we're not going to. It's not a shoplifting situation. Violent crime. You commit a violent crime, the city of Philadelphia. All right, rest assured, we'll hold them.
Yeah, it's definitely a little confusing to a lot of people, but like you said, Bob, public safety is priority number one.
We'll continue that conversation. Don't forget, coming up at the bottom of the hour, Frank Snyder, who's the Secretary-Treasurer of the Pennsylvania AFL-CIO, will join us. Guys, before we move along with the show and get into our next break, I wanted to take a moment, if we could, because J-Doc, a good friend of the labor community, a member of the labor community, a gentleman who was involved heavily in the labor community, a gentleman who wrote a book titled We'll See. His name is Michael McSorely, and a gentleman who was planning, who wrote a movie script and was planning to release that movie script, suddenly passed away.
Yeah, Mike McSorely was one of our guests of the year in 2016 and 2015, and what a great person. Somebody who had a tough road, but was so inspirational and wanted to share his experiences. Was not where you start. It's, and he made a difference in a lot of people's lives. His book, We'll See. A member of Sheet Metal Workers Local 19, a great union, and he's going to be sorely missed. And we certainly want to tell his family that, we're praying for you all.
We take a moment to remember Michael McSorely. He changed the lives of so many people that he knows or that he knew, and he also will change the lives of so many people that he'll never know again.
He said in 1954, the average union man made $5,400 a year. By today's standards, we'd have to make $190,000 a year to equal that. You know what upsets me? When a man says, oh, the laborers, oh, the unions.
Right.
It upsets me. It's offensive. It's honorable to work with your hands, back, and brains. And that's what I'm trying to say in this book, that no matter where you came from, stop being a victim, pick up your hands and do something for your society and your brothers and sisters. Serve the country. I gave my life to my union, and it's given everything back to me plus. And I want to say this. As a retired member of Local 19 Sheet Metal Workers, I have a medical benefit card that I paid into. Nobody paid into, the government or anybody. Okay, we earned that. I got a benefit for life. I got a pension, I have an annuity, and I'm a proud member, and it's a good life.
Radio.com. Radio.com.
I believe there's room, for the national building trades, the local building trades, to have partnerships with the Trump administration as it pertains to energy, as it pertains to infrastructure, as it pertains to the undocumented worker.
Back on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor, presented by Weinerman Pain and Wellness, serious doctors for serious injuries, powered by Pond Hockey. Stern and Giordano, unmistakable, the workers' compensation law firm, fueled by the growing listener base here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. J-Doc, don't go near the microphone with that pizza from Gino's.
Look, you remember our parents always used to say, never talk with your mouth full?
They didn't say never broadcast, though, Bob.
Jay, kill that mic, man. Kill that mic until J-Doc is done eating, thanks to Gino's Pizza up in Mayfair, and Bobby Henon, Councilman Bobby Henon sitting in for John Dougherty this evening. A reminder, again, I had a text just to provide the information quickly. Again, the All-Star Labor Classic The 30th Annual All-Star Labor Classic is being held tomorrow at Philadelphia University. Admission is free. Parking is free. The event gets underway with the media game at 11:30, Bobby, and then it continues. The girls' game tips off at 1:15, and then the boys' All-Stars will follow at 2:45 as the boys tip off.
That's correct, Ed. We hope that anybody that's listening out there, come on out and enjoy the game. It's a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, you want to see a fun game, you should watch the labor leaders play the media. That is so much fun. And I know with John Dougherty, who's not going to be playing this year, but John really takes that game serious.
First game he'll miss. He's played in the previous 29.
He has played in the previous 29, and I've gone to practice with him over my years working at Local 98. And, he takes it serious. He takes the kids serious. He takes the charity serious. And I'm so proud that he continues to support an organization like that as the building trades #1 charity.
All right, good stuff. I was going to try and get a social media update, but J-Doc, you've got pepperoni, and I just can't deal with that.
The next guy is going to love this mode.
All right, let's bring in Frank Snyder, who's joining us here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Frank is the Secretary-Treasurer of the Pennsylvania AFL-CIO, and he joins us here on Saturday Night Live with Philly Labor and John Dougherty. Frank, a good Saturday evening, sir.
Good Saturday evening to all of you as well.
Yeah, Secretary-Treasurer, a lot going on, and obviously we thank you for calling in, and I know you guys are fighting a good fight up there in Harrisburg, leading the way. These current paycheck protection bills, we like to call them paycheck deception. Tell us a little bit about what's going on, a little bit of the status,
I sure will, but before, if I may have a point of personal privilege, because anytime I'm in your listening area, I tune into the show. Thank you so much for the service that you do. But I also want to express on behalf of the Pennsylvania AFL-CIO President Rick Bloomingdale and our entire family to Michael McSorely and the Sheet Metal family. Certainly was a friend of our federation, and I know of the labor movement, not just in the Philadelphia area, but all around the Commonwealth. So our condolences certainly go out to the McSorleys. Paycheck protection. Yeah, you're right. Is it protection? Is it deception? Paycheck protection. What is it exactly that our government is trying to protect us from? Who are they trying to protect us from? This is really interesting because it is the beginning of right to work. I think as many of your listeners may be aware that a bill did pass out of the state government committee, out of the state Senate, that seeks to prohibit unions from using automatically deducted dues and contributions for any political purpose, including get-out-the-vote efforts, lobbying, or voter registration drives. But it's really interesting to understand that the deduction of union dues from workers' paychecks is negotiated, and no union member can be subjected to such deductions without his or her express approval. And moreover, it's already current law that unions' campaign contributions and more general activities such as lobbying and issue advocacy and independent union advocacy in support of candidates cannot use dues from any individual who objects to these priorities. So this is really the beginning of what we call right to work. And right to work is another one of these friendly and benign phrases that they've used, but it actually has nothing to do with the right to work. And the term itself is intended to fool you into believing this is somehow good for workers or communities.
Secretary-Treasurer, this is Bobby Henon. How are you?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining. These issues seem to be more political than anything else. I mean, it almost seems like they're trying to muzzle freedom of speech.
Well, there's no question about it, because here's the facts. That the average worker in a right-to-work state makes considerably less annually than those in non-right-to-work states. They're less likely to have health insurance and are going to pay more out-of-pocket expenses. There's higher poverty in right-to-work states, and there's less investment in education, and there's higher workplace fatalities. You guys know that. So then why? You asked the question, Bobby. You put it out there. why are they doing this? Because it really is not just stifling our voice. Quite honestly, this is about destroying unions altogether. It is their only purpose. Who? Out-of-state billionaires, the Chamber of Commerce, the Commonwealth Foundation, the American Legislative Exchange Council, all pushing right-to-work states because they claim, get this will kill you, that they care about workers.
Right.
Now think about that. They care about workers. They care less about workers than anyone else.
And Secretary Treasurer, I equate it often. They want to get rid of unions because often unions support Democratic candidates. Not, obviously we crossed the line, and therefore they get rid of their competition.
Well, let's be clear about this bill in particular that moved through. You understand, and they might claim that we support Democrats. We support Democrats and Republicans, to be very candid with you. Anyone can take a look at our records of endorsements over the years, every election cycle. Here's the bottom line. If you're for us, we're with you. You oppose us, we'll oppose you. There were 6 Republican senators who stood beside all those brave Democrats in making this vote. So no. And the reality is, if it wasn't for some progressive, moderate, forward-thinking Republicans that all of us have relationships with, then we would have this and some other of the most egregious legislation shoved down our throats. Because let's be clear, the Republicans control decisive majorities in both the state Senate and the state House.
How can we fight? How can we fight this? How can we tell our members to fight it?
This is how we fight it. Harrisburg is a bubble. Washington, D.C. is a bubble. Sometimes those folks, those lawmakers who live in that bubble, feel like they are insulated from what happens around them. Here's what we're asking folks to do. Get down into the districts. Go back to the district levels. Don't worry about Harrisburg and Washington. You go see a lawmaker, take 5, 10, 15 members to a lawmaker's district office. You'll get their attention. Trust me when I tell you, you'll get their attention. Make those phone calls into their offices. Express your dissatisfaction with these crazy pieces of legislation when we have so much other important things that we need to be doing in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This is a waste of taxpayers' money. And they'll claim that paycheck deception or right to work, whatever it is actually costing the Commonwealth money. Here's the reality. This is what it costs. Nothing. Zero. And when I say zero, I mean zero. In this automated age that we live in right now, it's the press of a button. Just like deducting any other Medicare taxes, insurance, charities, United Way, that is automatic. It costs nothing.
Frank Snyder, who is the Secretary-Treasurer of the Pennsylvania AFL-CIO, joining us here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Frank, will they be successful? Will we be able to stop the legislation? What's your thought?
We have had some form of attack on collective bargaining in Pennsylvania for 30 years. Now, we've been able to fend it off with every form of government. Republican governor, Democratic Senate, every kind of combination over those 30 years. We've been successful so far, and here's why. Because building trades professionals, private sector employees, and public sector workers have all stuck together on this issue. That's how we fight them. They try to divide us on this, and they'll go and they'll talk to a steel worker, they'll talk to an electrician, say, this is not your issue. And they push back and say, but it is. It is my issue. An injury to one is an injury to all. With us sticking together, I'm confident we'll be able to beat this back.
Secretary Treasurer, I think we should be contacting all our members, all right, to give our legislatures, all right, the confidence to know that we're with them if they stand up for us, whether you're Democrat or Republican, because labor supports them both as long as they support working families, as long as they support union labor. This is not these paycheck deception legislations and right to work legislation sounds to me like right to not work. And we deserve better as Pennsylvanians. We deserve better as human beings.
Well, we do. And, this actually creates an environment in which, there's no easy way to put it, that we actually will have freeloaders at the workplace. And a definition of a freeloader, guys, you know this.
Oh, yeah.
A person who takes things from others without paying for them or giving anything in return. Right to work is the epitome of a freeloader. But by contrast, by definition, union members support inclusion and fairness and equality for all, not just the few or the privileged, but for all workers. We need to have more bargaining power, not less.
Well, you're right, Secretary Treasurer, and we want to thank you and President Rick Bloomingdale for everything you guys do, and keep up the good fight. We're supporting you big time, and all of our union members got to get on board here and call your political officials. That's Secretary Treasurer of the AFL-CIO, Frank Snyder. Thanks so much for calling in.
Keep up the good work, Frank.
Thanks for the great work that you're all doing. You're doing a fantastic public service out there, folks. Don't be fooled by political hacks who want to lower your wages and strip your benefits and force retirees into poverty while providing handouts to millionaires. Be well, my friends. Take care. America works best. We say union yes.
It's Frank Snyder joining us here on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor. When we come back, Mike Barnes will give us an update on the NFL draft as construction's underway, and more with Bobby Henon. Back in a moment.
Local lives here. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
I've been coming out of step with them guys, okay? And I was a treasurer of the Democratic Party. I've been a loyal Democrat my whole life. But I've told people, and it hasn't, like I told you, it just didn't resonate with this election. If you look at the last few years, I've been telling people we have to become a little bit more individual. We have to be more of our own brand. We have to do a better job of becoming a business.
Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor and John Dougherty. In for John Dougherty, Councilman Bobby Henon tonight, presented by Weinerman Pain and Wellness, serious doctors for serious injuries. On the big show tonight. Thanks. Go ahead, Bobby.
Krause, I've been waiting the entire show for Joe Doc to give his social media hit. I'm still waiting, Joe.
Bob, I'm sorry.
First I
was eating, okay, and you just bounced it on me. So I'm gonna do it real quick. Okay, so if you want to connect with PhillyLabor on Twitter, at my PhillyLabor is our handle there. So that's number one. And if you want to get alerts every week for PhillyLabor Radio, go to www.phillylabor.com and sign up for our email list.
You heard it first. That is the handle.
Woo! You got it.
Coming up at the end of the month, by the way, the NFL draft, as everybody knows, underway. Construction underway in the city of Philadelphia on Saturday night. Saturday Night Live. We'll be broadcasting live from the NFL draft. Excited about that. So we'll be doing our show from the NFL draft over on the Parkway. Look forward to doing that. Details to come as we roll on here with Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor. Bobby, the NFL draft. We talked about it briefly in the very beginning, but what's going on? Construction's underway. There's traffic patterns already in play, but the city has a plan already.
The city certainly has a plan, and the city is used to managing these types of crowds. We have a perfect opportunity for economic development, putting union workers to work and, training people, making sure that they know what goes into an event like this and an event planning. And not only are we doing it with skilled union labor, we're doing it with our city officials. Our city officials and our emergency management and our streets and highway patrols are doing a fantastic time. So we're creating an economy. All right, we're sharing it, and we're getting huge exposure nationally right here in the city of Philadelphia.
Councilman Henon, I was thinking about these big events that we have. What do they do for the city? In other words, we were just fortunate enough to have the Pope, the DNC. We do, Made in America every year, and we have the opportunity at the NFL draft. What kind of effect does that have on a city?
Oh, it has an incredible effect, and our mayor's doing a great job. Our managing director's office, our city rep's office. With the DNC, with the Pope, and the NFL draft, and Made in America, we're sending a message, not just nationally, but internationally, that Philly is the place to be. You know, we have a great business environment right here. We have a growing population in the millennial community. You know, it's a tech-friendly city. I think this is the city that loves you back, and we want you to come here. We want you to start and create a business here. We have great models of a portfolio with our PIDC and our Commerce Department working with our state and local governments. I mean, we want you here, and we have the package to make it a reality.
Let me ask you about the district that you represent. What's the biggest concern right now with your district that you're dealing with personally?
Listen, my district is an incredible district. That's why I chose to run, and I want to thank them all for electing me to a second term so I can help in my public service to them. It's a quality life, right? You know, we all want to raise our family. We want to know that, one, we have a strong economy where we can work here in the city. Two, the quality of life of public safety where we can feel safe, walk out of our house, feel safe, and use our public corridors so we can shop locally in our small businesses. 85% of our businesses in the city of Philadelphia are small business, family-owned, right in our neighborhoods. We want you to stay here. All right, so we want you to shop here, we want you to play here, and we want you to live here.
But do we want, and this answer coming from Councilman Bobby Henon, question coming in from Dan Loney. I'm going to give him credit for the question. You'll hear him starting at 8 o'clock. But the question for Councilman Henon, do we want Cowboys fans in the city of Philadelphia during the NFL draft?
Well, listen, I am in no way a Cowboy fan, but we want them to come here and spend their money and love Philadelphia.
Right, yeah, and wear your colors. Yeah, we love to see that big star walking down the street.
Listen, we certainly know how to boo, so when it's their pick, we can certainly give them a friendly reminder.
Nice Philly welcome, right?
You bet.
No doubt.
Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor and John Dougherty. Councilman Bobby Henon sitting in for John Dougherty tonight. Well done, sir. Thank you very much for being part of the big show tonight.
Well, guys, I want to thank you for hosting this. I want to thank you for this show, and I want to thank John Dougherty for allowing me to step in and do my little part here for him and the show. And next time I come back, we'll have a different food by some of our great Northeast eateries.
Bobby, bring some napkins when you come in.
Wow, that by the way, that's a cut.
I think I've seen
a big bib.
I see Joe Doc eat. I think I'm going to need a hose.
J Doc, I do want to reel you in here just for a quick 30-second synopsis on paycheck deception. I mean, it's 30 if you can.
Yeah, you said it right. Paycheck deception. It's a statement that is meant to deceive. But I'll tell you what. I want to leave that for later. I want to shout out to the family of Mike McSorely, everybody from Local 19. Mike was, like I said, a great human being. We're going to miss him, and God bless him. God bless his soul. And I want to thank Councilman Bobby Henon for pinch hitting in the driver's seat tonight for Johnny Doc. Looking forward to many more segments to come.
All right, good stuff. Well said, J Doc. And just real quick, the pizza from Gino's, thumbs up?
Oh, absolutely. Two thumbs up.
All right.
I think he ate one of his thumbs.
3 thumbs up.
That's going to bring our show to a close. On behalf of Councilman Bobby Henon, on behalf of J-Doc, and of course Frank Keel, Jason behind the glass for putting it all together. Well done. And of course our host, John Dougherty. I'm Joe Krause. We'll see you next time.
This is the 30th year. In fact, I've actually played in the previous 29 myself. We start off early. This year we're going to be playing on April 9th. At Philadelphia University. The doors open at 10 o'clock. We're closing in on $3 million for our partner, Cerebral Palsy. We get the City All-Star Girls versus the Suburban All-Star Girls. We get the City All-Star Boys versus the Suburban All-Star Boys. And then we also get the Labor guys play the media. It's a great game. It's a great atmosphere. And we're lucky enough this year. You got Colin Gillespie, who probably could play in any All-Star game anywhere in America, is going to play in the All-Star Labor Classic. And you got Cosby Roundtree going to play. So you got two studs from today's game going to be in the All-Star Labor Classic. We actually got 11 people playing in the games, both games, that scored over 1,000 points. So a lot of shots going to go up here on April 9th.
This program is a paid commercial announcement and in no way represents the views of WPHT or its management.